All right, and here we are, and I'm wondering also if I try out one other thing. If I try this 2-orbit feature that we have. Let's see, with a radius of, I don't know, 125 kilometers. Inclination of whatever is fine. Steepness, probably more steep because this thing just doesn't care very much. 3, 2, 1, launch. Go, man, go! Oh dear. Oh, press the 1 button. That will activate our radiators and generator and all that. I hope this thing doesn't actually kill itself with plasma blackout, which actually seems like it might even be likely. But we are hurtling out of the atmosphere at ridiculous velocity, making this wow. Yeah, making this launch to orbit at incredible speeds. And it looks like we're slowing down because I think it wants to circularize, or I'm actually not sure what it's doing at this point. Coasting, gravity turn, quote unquote. Yeah, we'll call that a gravity turn. All right, that got us into a perfect 124 kilometer orbit. Just easy as pie. So that was actually really pretty nice. I can see why the folks that use MechJeb like to do that rather than launch their own stuff over and over again. If you can have something done automated in a way that's like relatively easy, then, you know, I can see it. I'm probably not going to be doing that, but I just wanted to test that for our purposes with this candle crane to see how it behaved, and it behaved great. So I am really excited to get this out to Duna. Alright, and the last test of the TCA system is executing this node, which is going to bring us out to Duna. Yeah, so we'll be heading out to Duna with this, and I'm going to replace my normal candle crane. I've got a really crazy maneuver because I'm using this extra tank of ore for the fuel, which gives us, this tank of ore gives us about another 14,000 meters per second of delta V, so we're going to be using that up in our transfer, because we're spending about 7,000 meters per second to get out there, so I imagine it's going to take something similar to get inserted into that orbit. So we are burning along very nicely now, and even with these big torch drives, that's going to take a minute and a half. So all that we have going on now, we have a couple things that are happening at roughly this point. We have the torchbearer tug, which is our that's the machinery that is going to get landed. But I've got this thing is arriving in 34 days. This transfer is going to take only 32 to get to Duna. I went a little bit faster because I want to get this thing ahead of it, because this thing actually needs to be there to grab the torchbearer tug and bring it down. The tug will insert into orbit around Duna fine. That's not the issue. It's just that this is necessary for pretty much everything else that I'm trying to do. What I would also like to do is, at some point in the very near future, I need to start getting Kerbals down to the surface. So I'm going to be bringing out our crew to the gateway station, and then they can board the warp skiff and head out. There's also a couple additional Kerbals that are kind of lounging up in the my Starlifter shuttle, my original Starlifter shuttle, and we are going to be checking in on them and seeing about bringing them down at some point in the near future, probably after we get the initial base facilities set up. Yeah, because they're not as highly skilled as the rest, so I need the highly skilled Kerbals to run all the new machinery and so forth. And here we are, finishing off this burn in a way that is much more precise because it is machine automated and not subject to my impatience. And boom, there we go. That is pretty dang close as far as I'm concerned. Now just a tiny little burn in this direction will put us perfectly on course. Beautiful, just beautiful, awesome. So let's just warp to the edge of Kerbin's sphere of influence as we've burned off most of this ore. Very nice. And we've even got little landing legs on there so that it is a little bit less risky, a little bit less at risk of falling and exploding when I drop it onto the surface of Duna. And here we go, just moving on out. We've moved out into the solar-centric orbit. And now we're just going to go ahead and throw down a... oh shoot, I don't seem to have control. Did I do this again? Did I forget to put on the communications device on this one more time? Well, we're going to throw down a alarm on Sphere of Influence change. And I think the comm network around Duna is actually good enough for me not to need this dish. So hopefully I don't need to make any corrections. I don't think I should in between here and there, because this thing is not going to have communications until it gets close to the Duna ComSat network, which I'm increasingly happy about. Can I just say, I've never had a comm issue inside Duna's Sphere of Influence ever since I set that up with all the stuff that's going on. So, fingers crossed. Alright, we're back with the Candle Crane version 2 as we are approaching Duna. We actually skipped a little bit into the Sphere of Influence, which would normally be fine if I had control of this vessel. Cannot add maneuver node, control is locked. So, fingers crossed that getting a little bit closer is actually going to be enough to get us control back. Hey, there we go. We got it. 1% control. That's all we need. Yeah, periapsis, circularize. Or maybe we should be bold and just try to get directly into it. Well, we're not going to rendezvous quite yet. So, what's a good way to do this? Okay, 1.5 kilometer at this sort of range is probably fine. So let's go ahead. Oh, that's right. I have to use this now. I can't actually use it. Yeah, I'd actually have to turn this off entirely to use... Oh, and then I can still use this. That's kind of nice. Yeah, so now it's just getting a little bit closer, and then we are going to make our insertion burn and a bit of a rendezvous burn with the Duna Express tug simultaneously. We'll get this into a nice close orbit with it, and then I'm going to have the previous Candle Crane meet up, and we will dispose of it. Yeah, so I think that's probably going to be something that we're going to trash. So I'll see you in 2 minutes. Okie dokie, now we're just fine-tuning our intercept as close as we can with our RCS, and we don't need it to be all that close because we can fix it when we get there. And just as we are flying up to that, we can just see our connection flip between multiple different things, always managing to have a good solid connection at any time. It's just fantastic that this network works as well as it does. I feel pretty proud of that. That's kind of a nice thing. I think in my next save, I'm probably going to go for like a remote tech sort of deal where I have to do like a really crunchy sort of network to get that to work properly, to get all this communication set up, because the stock comm network is pretty cool, but it's also pretty simplistic. And if I'm doing something big like a Galileo's Planet Pack, then I'm going to want something similarly, you know, robust. This is something that's really going to reward my investment and make it challenging. So I think that's probably something that I'm going to be using. I'll be using that, I'll be using ScanSat and some other things. Slipped right by. Thankfully that intercept wasn't any closer than it was, or I would have collided at high velocity. Yeah, so this is all set up and we are all set with this. We will just be able to go ahead and start making our drops, starting with this little kit of specialized parts. But first, I would like to give the old candle crane a Viking funeral. Alright, so I've linked up the old candle crane one last time so that I can drain all of the goodies from it into the main vessel. So let's see what we have. We have enriched uranium. I don't think we're going to need to steal that. We have 50 carborundum left. Okay. Okay, so I've emptied this of ore. I just want a little bit back in. Just enough to get this down to the surface. So let's save the game. Although maybe let's throw away a little bit of carborundum, just the tiniest bit. Yeah, something like that. Save the game, and then we will dispose of our trusty old candle crane, which served us well briefly, but I was too impatient, so that should not be any kind of surprise, really. Oh, I have a ton of mono. Okay, mono deposited, and we can just fly away. It's not a big deal. And we still have like 9,000 meters per second of delta V, which is hilarious, but we don't need that much. We are just sending this hurtling down into Duna, which is somewhere. Where are you, Duna? Oh, gosh, there you are. Shoom! Okay, go straight down. Point at the planet. We are going to impact the surface and do some kind of something. I don't know what we're going to accomplish, but we are going to do it rapidly. And here we are, smashing into the atmosphere, saying farewell to the candle crane of first design. We've learned a lot. Farewell. Alright, and we are back here with the Candle Crane version 2, which we are going to be sending down with a little kit of specialized parts down to the place where we are going to be having our base set up so that we can use that to construct things. So we've targeted the Southern Basin flag as the place that we would like to land, and let's just go ahead and land because I don't love... I don't let this whole thing run out, but it does create me a fantastic node that I find to be incredibly useful for getting actually down to the base. So that actually has us come all the way around the planet one time, because on the second time we have a much easier time getting to the base is actually cycling underneath us in our orbit, so it's easier for us to make this burn. It makes it cost less fuel in this case. Very nice. So that gets us pretty darn close and on a fairly steep trajectory, which I like for what we're doing with TCA. That's one thing I like about that, is that it gives us a very steep trajectory coming in. I'm not sure if this is like meant for airless bodies or what it is, but it seems to work out great for exactly that sort of purpose. So now we are coming in, and we'll be coming in real hot and at very high velocity, which will actually kill us, by which I mean it will make our signal break if I let us hit the plasma blackout phase by going too fast and picking up the plasma around us. So we are going to fire our engines to slow us down as we get to the point where the situational modifier brings us down to 0. So we are able to use kind of like hypersonic retropropulsion here to knock out our velocity, use that as kind of our heat shield, and get us blocked off so that we can head right on down, although it looks like I overshot just a little bit this time. So let's surface. Oops, I'm pointing the wrong way. This way, please. Actually, which way? We're pushing it, so we're gonna want it like this. There we go. Now we're heading straight down towards it, or at least above it, which is where we would like to be. There. So now we should fall a little bit closer onto it. We're coming down a little bit. Now I'm gonna flip on TCA once again, because now it's time for this thing to shine. So we are going to... What are you doing? Correcting trajectory. I don't want you to do what you're doing. Okay, kill, hover at this speed, please. Stop. There we go. That's the problem that I was having. Okay, hold on. Go to and turn my throttle on. That's what I forgot. You actually have to throttle all the way up to let TCA do its thing, because it mostly works using the thrust limiter. So, anyways, now I think we're on track. I have clicked on Go To. I should be able to go fairly quickly. We are, in fact, targeting the southern basin, and I'm not sure what precisely. Oh, now we're going. Okay. It was just waiting for us to stop at the top of our arc, it seems. It's doing this in a very slow and deliberative sort of way. I'll be right back once we're a little bit closer. And coming to a lovely stop. Now, what I would love to be able to do, looks like we're coming down in a dust storm, which is pretty damn cool. What I wish I could do is actually just, I want to go there. Just right there. I just want to go right there. Meh. So what's easier? Do-it-yourself tug debris. We got debris over there. And again, we've got debris over here, up at the poles, lowlands, and southern basin. So it's somewhere in this area that we need to be. Doesn't super matter which one, I think, because this has a local warehouse on it, so it should be in range of everything. So I can just drop here. So let's just click land and see how it do. Alright, we are coming in for a landing. You'll notice we have landing legs on this little kit of ore and specialized parts. Specialized parts are the only really thing that's supposed to survive. This was just fuel for my torch drive. But yeah, we're going to drop this off, and then this is going to be used to fuel the construction of parts with OSE Workshop. Because you do need those to actually make things. And this thing is bringing us in for the gentlest of landings on a very small slope, and we are within 2 kilometers of everything, so we should, with local warehousing, be able to pull the resources from this canister and use it for other purposes, which is fantastic. And it looks like we are landing right on, just about right on this bullseye, which is so cool. I just love it. TCA is so great now that I actually have the darn thing set up properly. Ugh. It's so frustrating to be messing with something with a fundamental mistake in it and, you know, realize that it's all your fault afterwards, that like all of those issues and all that trouble that you were having was entirely your fault. Kind of like that right there. That was fantastic too. And this, I suppose, is how I would do it. With a little bit of lateral velocity, because it wouldn't be a landing by me if it wasn't terrible. See what I mean? Just awful. Yeah, so a little bit of a learning... Oh, okay. Oh, that's too funny. I love that they all broke perfectly symmetrically and it just dropped me straight down. Oh my goodness. So let's save the game there. And get this back up into orbit. But yeah, that's mission complete for this particular pod. So let's leave this, get this up into orbit, and now we have a whole bunch more stuff to bring down. Alright, so now I got ourselves on an intercept course. I can turn off TCA, not going to be using that for the moment. And we've got ourselves on an alarming 0.0 flyby, which means that theoretically, I will smash into the Duna Express as I come by, but I doubt that's actually true. There's always a little bit of error, but let's try not to smack into it at high warp velocities, just in case. But yeah, that's pretty dang close. I think, you know, that's pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. Pretty dang good. Excellent. All right, so now I'm just going to go, we'll do in real time one more thing that we will be dropping down. I'll pick one more thing, doesn't really matter which one. Let's kill my target, my relative velocity, there we go. And then we will hook up one of these and we will bring it down. And then I'm just going to bring all these down kind of on my own time, I think, because... and I may cut to moving over the crew here pretty soon, because we don't actually need all of these base facilities down. So, but unfortunately, all remaining 6 of these still need to get down at some point, and it's going to look, hopefully, very smooth and easy with this thing, with the updated version. So let's get this hooked up and see how that's going to go. Alright, so the easiest way for us to get these things hooked up is to actually send off the do-it-yourself tug to link up with the candle crane a little bit away, because there's all kinds of stuff sticking off the back of the Duna Express tug that would, you know, get in our way, break stuff, or at least bump and be problematic. So yeah, I think I'm actually going to cut this episode here rather than try to go into this next part, because it does take a little while to get this thing down. I'm sorry the episodes have been a little bit sparser than I'd like and a little bit shorter than they normally are. It's been a really busy summer. But yeah, I'm definitely not losing any enthusiasm for this. We are going to keep cranking away and get this Duna base built. So if you enjoyed this episode, please share and subscribe, and I will see you next time.